Hello, it's Dane, Jonah Custom Guitars. Had another guitar in the shop, and basically I've already done a lot of checking out on this thing. I just brought it back out to the shop here to I decided to go ahead and do a video on it, so that's why I brought it back out to the shop. Got to call the customer. It's going to need a fret level, but this is from what I've gotten, it's a what I looked up, 1970 ES345 Bigsby. It's I'm not sure, looking in here, how well you can see this. I'll try down, look at the body of the thing, and we'll have it out and get a better look at it, or maybe I'll hand hold it. So I'm going to be measuring the frets to find out how much meat I have left on the fret themselves. It originally came in, it's a stereo guitar. That was the stock thing on a 345 stereo. The double trap inlays. And that's the big variation. Well, in the binding, okay, you had body binding. Well, no, you had neck binding. You had body binding on the ES335 as well. I'm going to have to look it up again. I did a little research. Pretty sure these came in right at the late 50s. And this gentleman that owns this one, it was handed down to him through his grandfather and his dad. And he's just under the impression that he's seen it in photos that are older, that predate 1970. But there's a couple things with the Gibsons. 70, 71, 2, and 3, I believe. Maybe even 74. Have the stamp in the back of the peg head that says made in USA. And then the serial numbers are stamped above that. So just going strictly off of the stamp of made in the USA, I'm saying this thing, and then the serial number combined with that, this is a 70. It's what it looks like. I'm not sure if, I'll throw this out there to you guys. I'm not sure if Gibson had a previous, time in space where they, stamped a peg head, made in USA, like in the late 50s or the early 60s maybe. But this gentleman's certain that he's seen pictures of this guitar that predate 1970. So if you got any information, you can share with me on that when we get this video up on YouTube. Let me know. I will take a second here also to thank my most recent subscribers, these guys that are still hanging with me, and the new ones as well. I don't have tons of you guys watching these yet, but I'm hoping that more and more will join on. I've been getting some really great guitars in the shop, and I'd be ashamed not to have more people get to see this stuff. I'm going to go ahead and do it right here since I've got the camera. So I was going to rearrange everything, but I think I'll just grab my mic and mic these frets. It's got some really, really deep wear, and I might end up having to do a refret on this thing. Anyway, I started to talk about stereo, and I sidetracked myself, which I do a lot. So it's a stereo guitar, and it also has the Veritone circuit, which is, I gotta move this around a little bit. Wish I could see my screen better so I could tell what you guys are looking at. But this rotary switch right here goes 1 through 6, and this is in essence, I think in one, you pretty much just what a standard Gibson guitar would be, and then just your regular, your neck and bridge tone controls here. Just a normal operation. Every notch you turn this Veritone on, it's got another capacitor in the line, and it basically does is it darkens the tone up all the way over to 6. So he originally asked me to look at this guitar wanted me to look at the frets. He also just wanted me to check the guitar out. He wanted to refinish it, and it's not, you know, it's not in the best of shape, but I'm afraid that doing a refin on this thing would really do it a disservice and devalue it. Got a tone. One of these tone knobs is just warped. It's actually melted. So for whatever in the back right here is really blistered on the back of the guitar at this edge here. So whatever this thing was close to, I don't know if they left it next to a heater, or if it just, for some reason, if it was out in the vehicle and it just really heated up just in this one spot. But the knob actually has melted and sagged down toward the top of the guitar. It's almost touching the top of the guitar, right around where the numbers say 7, 6, and 7. So anyway, that's the story. It's a stereo. He also wanted me to check it and make sure it was working the way it's supposed to work, because he didn't have a way to plug it into a stereo system or anything. I have a couple amps that I was able to plug it into. I had to buy a splitter. I did a little research and talked to some folks, and they believe that originally these came with a cord that automatically split it off to 2 for you. But I picked up a little adapter at Radio Shack, plugged it in there, ran it to 2 amps. It works perfectly. Now when you try to run it into 1 amp on a standard mono cord, you get, you know, basically you get each pickup is on a separate amp is what it does. And it's kind of weird because when you plug it in just, you know, so deep, the tip's hitting either the bridge or the, you know, or the neck pickup. So you go deeper, it hits the other pickup. So it was difficult to tell just by trying to plug a mono cord in and playing that way if you were getting it. A lot of people modded these guitars to just a standard mono output jack, and in which case, there again, these things came stock stereo. So I recommended to the owner that he just put an adapter, just a stereo to mono adapter, and then just plug into that. That way he doesn't have to modify the guitar to use it with 1 amplifier. So the idea now is to find out just how worn these frets are. What I typically do is I got to get into a wider set. He's got a lot of wear on the fretboard too. You know what? I'm just going to mic it. I'm just going to level it off on my table saw and zero it out. Then I can straddle these frets and get an idea of what they're reading at. So 33 thousandths at the first fret in the center, 33 there as well. Now I'm going to try to, I'm 33 all the way across that first fret. I'm going to try to get into the notch, pull that first string out of the way. I don't know if you can see me. No, you can't see anything I'm doing. This has got to be fun, watching me do something that you can't see. All right, so there's a pretty good string notch right in this first fret right here, so I'm gonna probably not gonna go into the very deepest part of that. So yeah, it's reading 31, 30. The second notch, third notch, fourth notch in those frets are quite a bit wider across the fret, so I might be able to get a more accurate read how far down those really are there. This is reading down 27 thousandths on that one, 29 thousandths. You know, if I level these things for them, we're going to be down to 25 thousandths of fret, and I don't think that's enough. The 68 Les Pauls and that sort of thing, they called them fretless wonders. They were down, they were really low, around 28 thousandths or something right out of the factory. And that's fine if you don't have any fret. Well, it's not fine. A lot of people don't like that at all. People like to have around 35, 40 thousandths. And you might, if you started out with a 50 to 40,000 tall fret and you fret leveled the thing a few times and got down to around 25, you might put up with that before you went to the effort of doing a refret. But at this point, this guitar, I mean, we're starting out at close to 25. And by the time I get everything leveled out, I don't think he's going to be very happy about that. So I am going to recommend a refret. I will explain all of that to him though and let him make an educated decision. The other plan for the guitar, minus that so far, doing the exploratory stuff I did on it, you know, all the electronics work. There's nothing really scratchy. The switch works fine. Everything works, and it works the way it's supposed to if you plug it in stereo. So short of that, I was pull the strings off of it, go over the entire guitar, clean it up really good. Use Stuart McDonald's polish. It's a really good product. I really like it. I also use their Fretboard oil. And I'll pull the strings off and I'll clean everything up. Clean the fretboard really good with naphtha, and then oil it again with the fretboard oil. String it all back up, set it up. Short of doing the refret, if he wants to do the refret, then we'll do all that as well as refret everything. Plus he's got some really hefty gashes in the fretboard, and I will pull the frets out and sand the board a little bit. I'm not going to sand the board enough to get those finger grooves completely out of the fretboard itself, because I would have to take too much meat off to do that. There again, in this current light, and just doing a quick once over on it. I'm not sure that any of these are deep enough to warrant patching, cutting a little bit of the fretboard out and patching it with matching wood. So I don't know if it was grandpa or dad, but I'll tell you what, they got just this constant groove going all the way up the E string. He really rubbed that E string. And then also on the B and the G up here at the first fret. It's really deep. So anyway, that's kind of just the opener on this guitar. Think 1970 ES345. Seems kind of interesting. I've gotten a lot of 70s instruments in here lately. I got a set my roll of paper towels down and scan across here. See if we can do that. I got a 1953 Goya classical there. I'm humidifying it. I have my neck block just sealing off the sound hole. There's a really big crack between where the block is and the bridge, right on the face of the guitar. I mean, it's not dirty or nasty or anything. It's just separated there, and it's separated on a back to the 70. I'm thinking, unless I can find a later date. ES335, 45, ES345. Just for a quick, tutor on this thing. Basically, the 335 is the starter model. It's got just the single dot, type inlays. So the fretboard's not bound. It's not stereo. They come with and without Bigsby's. I'm not sure. I have to look that up. I'm not sure on the original 335s if they had a Bigsby option or not. But anyway, so they're a lot, I shouldn't say a lot more plain. They're just a straightforward jazz, semi-hollow body type guitar. This one also has a bent tuning peg, which is real normal on Gibsons. I'm surprised that it doesn't have a broken neck, because the tuning peg got bent, which means it fell over at some point and whacked that and bent it. I'm going to straighten that up. It's out. It's bent, pretty much at the edge of the tuner, so I can grab it with a pair of crescent wrench, tighten it up around the shaft, and tweak that peg back straight. So that's it. Thanks for watching. I will update you here as soon as I know anything about whether or not it's going to be refretted. If not, it'll just get cleaned up and sent back to the owner. Thanks, guys. Take care. Hello. So it's Dane at Jonah Custom Guitars. This is the second installment of the 1970 ES345 stereo, and there's the truss nut cover. I'm going to pop that back on. As previously mentioned, I was going to explain to the owner that he could use some fretwork. The owner has opted not to do that right now. And his big question was, it's not buzzing or anything, and no, it's not. So I went ahead and took the strings off of it, detailed the guitar out. Cleaned it all up, cleaned the fretboard with simple green, and then I went over it with naphtha to basically suck any moisture that the simple green might have left. Did a couple go-throughs with that. I just put it on the fretboard and scrub. And it wasn't really a super nasty fretboard, but there was, it's an old finish. This is the stuff I use on the board. I thought about making my own, basically. If you just take some linseed oil and thin it with some, mineral spirits. It smells pretty much like what this smells like. So, but for what this costs, and it's taken me years to get down. I've still got it, probably a fourth, maybe a little less than a fourth of a bottle, years of doing this. So this I have gone through a bottle. It's preservation polish, no silicone, from StewMac. A lot of people rag on StewMac and their products and their pricing. I agree. They come up with some kind of, I think, silly things, gimmicky things, that are supposed to streamline the whole process of doing repair work. I don't see the need for a lot of it, but some of the stuff that they've come up with is pretty decent. This polish is the best I've found as far as that goes. And basically it cleans the finish, and then once you're done cleaning, you buff it up, and it's as good as it's going to get, really, for whatever finish is on it. So I just put the truss rod cover back on. I'm going to swing this around, I think, and plug it in and play it for you. It actually sounds really good. There again, I say this every time, I'm not a super guitar player, and unfortunately I don't have one just that hangs out here waiting for me to demo a guitar, so it's not that convenient to run out and grab a guitar player when you need one. Anyway, this again is a 35 watt Yamaha solid state, old amps, probably, I was pushing 40 years old. I bought a little Yamaha, kind of an SG copy at one point, and I bought the amp at the same time. First electric guitar I had, I still got it, actually. It left home with my son, and it came back last year sometime. So this was stereo, and so what I've discovered is, right, on the neck, when the plug is all the way in the jack, pushed all the way in, you get neck. When you go down to the bridge, you get zip, because that's on the other part of the jack, on a stereo jack. However, I discovered that if you back it out a notch, you get both. So they got it wired somehow where that works, and you can still actually put a splitter in there and have two distinct separate amps, one from the neck and one from the bridge if you've got two amps to run through. So it's kind of cool that you don't really have to use a splitter to get both pickups. While I was in here cleaning things up, I straightened the Veritone knob, selector knob. It was somewhere off of one here, back pretty much where zero, if there was a zero that lined up with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the reason it was offset is it's a split shaft, and whoever put it in there didn't want to squeeze the shaft together with the lock screw. So I put a wood shim. Oops. Put a wood shim in the slot, and then I was able to rotate the knob to where it needed to be. So now when you go through the different numbers, the arrow, the little line on the knob actually lines up with the numbers. So here's both pickups, just real briefly. Playing a G chord. So let me back up and say all the volumes and all the tones are wide open. So this is strictly baritone. So number 6 on the bridge, or excuse me, on the neck. So completely okay, and we could also back the tones up. So that gets pretty muddy. It's kind of interesting the way it messes with the volume. Anyway, so that's what the baritone does. But I think this plug being pulled out on one notch was giving me noise that I wouldn't normally get. Push it all the way in. It seems like when you go back to the neck in that pulled out position, it really had a jump in volume. Quick and dirty demo, give you an idea of what the thing sounds like. Pretty guitar. Turn that off because I'm gonna get you unplugged here. It's got, got a little bit of wear on it. It's got belt buckle peeled all the way through the finish on the back. So you got a definite hard edge where the lacquer's been chipped away and it's down to raw wood here. A couple of chips in here, but overall, really not bad. Like I said, it got some sort of heat, and so it's blistered right here. The finish is blistered and almost down to the wood, except for just a few pieces that were stubbornly hanging on. And then this particular knob, I don't know if there's a way you're going to be able to see that, but if you look at this edge as I rotate it, it's really warped and melted down. I don't know what kind of heat situation that got in, but it had to be heat. Yeah, because none of the if it were chemical or something, somebody put on there a cleaning agent, it would have marred the finish, but it really didn't do that on the knob. So overall, it's had also just from expansion, contraction, different wood in the neck and the body, you got a definite line where the finish is cracked across the heel to the body right here, and a definite line right here where the neck and the body connect, cracked there. Now they're not loose, there's no movement in the joint, so I don't think that it was anything that was an impact related problem where it cracked the wood. Also on this side though is tight, so it's interesting. I could be wrong about that. Maybe it did take a shock to the neck at some point, just cracked it, but didn't break the wood. Hard to know that, you know, the history of this guitar. Anyway, that's it. 1970 ES345 Gibson. Very, very, very nice instrument. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. You know, if you like these videos, hit like, hit subscribe, tell your friends, all that good stuff. And thanks again to new subscribers. Appreciate it. It's fun. It's fun to put these together, but it's also fun to know people are watching and you know, interested. So, thanks a lot, guys. Have a great day.